Hello. In this second video, what I'd like to cover here is just some kind of test taking tips, I guess, for lack of anything else, that I've kind of accumulated and shared with folks over the years, and thought this would be a good place to continue doing that. So let me share my screen, and we'll pull up this Word document that you see right here. So these are Chuck opinions. Certainly, you'll find your own. You'll see which ones resonate. These are the ones that I've shared with people over time. So kind of working through these, get your sleep the night before. Make sure you're well rested, certainly, but also understand whether you're a morning person or an afternoon person or evening person for when you take that test. For myself, I'm a morning person, so that's the best time for me to take a test. We talked about this in one of the other videos, but we'll reinforce it here. ASCM typically will say you need 80 to 100 hours to adequately prep for an exam. You'll catch, anywhere from 30 to 45 hours in class, maybe another 10 or 15 outside class, and that'll leave you the 30 to 50 hours. Definitely on an ongoing basis, keep studying. Nothing's more successful than staying within that harness. And certainly because you should study on an ongoing basis, it's not like in older days for you and I where we could cram at the last second. That doesn't work. I think it's also important that what you're weak on, you start working on that first, just to reinforce what you already know is great but limited. So focus in on what you need to improve on. And as well, trust yourself too. The habits that got you and I through high school, college, associate's degree, technical college, whatever, chances are those carry over today. So for myself, if I don't know the question, I mark it and come back. If I know it, I answer it and I don't look back. That's what I do. To me, this is my orientation, what I'll tell students. Doesn't mean it's necessarily right for everybody, but I want people to be prepared to tell me what a topic or concept is, why it is important, and what's the impact of the concept on the supply chain, both positive and negative, if we utilize or don't utilize that concept. Use your time well, which is something we're going to capture in the third video. For myself, I like to do what I know best, then down to what I have on two choices. Then the last I have to kind of guess on. I got to admit that. But the nice thing is you don't lose points when you guess, if you have to guess. And this managing of time will buy you more time to work on these harder problems. I'm also a big fan of don't jump to the answers. So for each question, make sure you know what information is given to you for tip-offs and clues, and then simplify it in your mind what the question's looking for, and then look at the answers. And if you're managing your time well, you should have plenty of time to do that. Three other ones I think that are important as well. Know when you're getting stressed or out of your zone and what you're going to do about it. For myself, when I get stressed, I tend to tighten up a little bit. And so I always encourage myself to say, okay, just put the cursor down, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then reset, look at the question. If I know it, answer it. If I don't, mark it and go on. The second one, know the signs of when you don't know and what are you going to do. For myself, I figure out after a bit I don't know it because I start going, well, it could be A if it's this, but it could be B, but maybe it could be A. No, it could be C. And all of a sudden I realize I'm going back and forth like a tennis match or a ping pong match. And it's just like, you know what? Mark the questions and come back to it. Know the signs when you're wrestling with what you do at work versus on, for the test. When you find yourself going, well, back at work, we do this, that should be your flag to say, okay, great, that's what we do. It's not right or wrong, but what does the body of knowledge say? And that's what I have to go with here. I'm also a big fan. They give you a pre-test. A lot of exams give you pre-tests so that you get a chance to learn where the calculator is and how to move around the screen. Definitely should do that. You don't want to get panicky because you don't know where things are. I would ask you also realize that the concepts from APICS in our exams are a toolbox. They're not the end all be all. You may disagree. You may do things different at work, may not apply. And I think it's totally cool that you make that distinction because when you pass the exam and go back to work, you have to look at it and say, well, is this relevant to what we do at work? But the fact is, we're here to pass a test. And so we have to keep that in mind. This next one, I don't see it as often, but I think it's worth mentioning. Um, don't get yourself all tied up in knots about having to take the test. I mean, it's got enough stress that it is because you do well at work. You've probably already paid your dues, but let's not forget we're here to take an exam. And we have to, positively think we can do this and set that frustration or urge, to get frustrated aside and give ourselves that clarity to work on the exam. Certainly, as an instructor, don't be afraid to give me a call if you got questions. If you don't pass the test, you get back on and you do it again because you're still fresh. And the reality is, you've done a lot of work to get to this point. So we need to finish it off with you. And the reality is, most of us, if we don't pass, we're really close to passing. It's usually really, really close, point or two, couple of points. And so we're a couple questions away, probably. It's really our habits in study and preparation that get us over the top, is what we find. So, like I said, these are just some things I've kind of added over the years and passed on to people. They, while we're talking in an exam from ASCM here, probably applies to many other cases as well. So, kind of get yourself in that mindset that you can do it and be positive and it may sound kind of corny, but visualize what it's going to feel like and look like when you pass the test because you have put in the effort to be successful.